Welcome to Turner Gymnasium on the campus of the University of Lynchburg for Hornets men's volleyball, and it is the beginning of the Lynchburg men's volleyball era. A brand new team and a brand new season. First home game for the Lynchburg Hornets, and we are so excited to bring it to you here on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Hello again, volleyball fans, and welcome. My name is Kyle Haney, my co-pilot tonight, Ethan Maratsky and Ski. We covered some women's volleyball together in the fall, but this is going to be new for me and you, and it's going to be new for everybody here at Lynchburg.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you and I love doing volleyball, and not only is it just any volleyball, it's men's volleyball, and I am so excited because this is the very first year that we've had this program running. Not only is it the first year, but this is the first home ODAC opener for men's volleyball, and I'm super excited to get into it.
It's historic. You always remember your first, and you always want to get a victory in that first home game. Obviously, now part of the situation for Lynchburg is they do have some wins to start the season. The Hornets went on the road. They beat Mount Aloysius in a sweep on Saturday, and they also swept Wilson. So the Hornets haven't dropped a set yet. They're 2-0 with 6 set wins. They'll take on a Virginia Wesleyan Marlins team that started their men's program last year, Ethan, but they do not have a game under their belt this season. So maybe a slight advantage there to Lynchburg in the fact that they've played a couple times, but as you know, when the lights come on and the ball goes up, sometimes you have to throw those advantages right out the window.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, coming into a game with momentum is going to be a lot more important than coming into a game completely with a bunch of cobwebs around you. Going into a season starting 6-0 in sets, it really looks like maybe they can try and pull a WNL women's volleyball run there, not losing a single set until playoffs. It's going to be really interesting for this men's volleyball team. I'm super excited, and this is really going to be a test to see how good this team is. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a statement, let alone just a volleyball game here today.
Well, you're right. It's going to be all those things. And head coach for Lynchburg, Ryan Turner, in his first season, obviously, at the helm of the Lynchburg Hornets. We'll talk about Ryan's coaching background here as our night goes on. But he echoed a lot of your thoughts and said many of the same things you just pointed out, Ethan. It's a barometer for our ball club. We want to see where we're at. The ODAC preseason poll had Lynchburg selected 6th. Virginia Wesleyan was tied for 3rd in the conference preseason poll, and we'll mention that as the night goes on. But that's another one that it's just kind of a baseline. You never know how things are going to go, and a lot of times those preseason polls get torn up and thrown out the window pretty quickly. But you and I will have plenty to talk about, I think, without having much stats to refer to. You know, that's the thing. When you're getting ready for so many of these sports games, you got loads and mountains and stacks of paper to look through with stats. For Virginia Wesleyan, we've got a little bit from last year to go on, but nothing this year. And for Lynchburg, all these guys have only played 2 games. They don't have anybody with any transfer experience to speak of. So you and I will have our work cut out for us, because we can't just lean on the numbers. We'll have to actually say something important.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I also think that that's going to make it just that much more exciting for this Lynchburg team going through the entire season. You don't really know who your expert players are. That's just going to cause people to step up, and they're going to be the ones that are going to be so important, and it just makes every single player on this team that much more important. And when you go back to the ODAC preseason standing, ranked 6th out of 7 teams, if you're a player or even a coach, you're going to have to let that fire your team up. Obviously, you've started off the season undefeated, not losing a single set. You know your team is good enough to win, especially against great teams. They're going to have to make a statement here today and let this fire them up for the entire season.
Fantastic point by you. Can you use that preseason poll as motivation? Can you use it as something to get behind? I think this ball club is finding themselves. They're learning each other's tendencies and, growing together as a team. And, again, it's a team that hasn't been together very long in their first season here with just 2 games under their belt. But we'll see how game 3 goes, and home game number 1 for the Lynchburg Hornets. We are very excited to bring it to you, and it is an Old Dominion Athletic Conference contest. So we'll get the conference slate kicked off tonight as well. A lot to talk about, a lot to see and do. Ethan and I will meet you at the net in less than 5 minutes. You'll see all the action live on LHSN.
To them, the whole world looks like an opportunity, one to be seized, built upon, and made better for their sport and the people around it. To student athletes, every opportunity is a chance to change what could be and show the world what opportunity can do.
Think a private education is too expensive? Think again. At the University of Lynchburg, you can get a personalized education for the cost of a state school. If you're commuting and you get our top scholarships, you could pay much less. And you get all that without the hassle of giant lecture halls. Our faculty know your name here and do more than just teach. You might even do research together and plan out your next career moves.
National anthem has concluded inside Turner Gymnasium. Kyle and Ethan hanging out with you on a chilly Tuesday night. I mean, you got to be indoors on a night like tonight, Ethan, and I think this gym is going to be warm and toasty and rocking. It looks like the fans have showed up and showed out, and now the men's volleyball team from Lynchburg wants to show off a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. You said it. It's a chilly night. I think chilly's a little bit of an understatement,
yeah.
But I was making, your typical Lynchburg student cookout midnight run last night. I turned on my car and I heard a little beep and I was wondering what it was. The car was telling me that it was 20 degrees outside. Of course, I look at my temperature on my phone and telling me that it was 12 degrees out. So it's definitely something you're going to want to stay cozy, put a fire on, put the University of Lynchburg men's volleyball game on, sit back, relax, and have a great, fantastic night here.
The fans really are filing in. We may get a shot at the student section here at some point, and there's plenty of adults in the gymnasium here tonight as well. We're glad you are watching from wherever you are. Lynchburg's roster, Ethan, has got players from all over, a good Virginia contingent, but this Lynchburg team's got South Carolina, Arizona, North Carolina, New York, Minnesota, California, Pennsylvania, all represented on the roster. So we know we've got folks watching from all over. For Virginia Wesleyan, it is kind of a Virginia-centric to the extreme roster for Virginia Wesleyan, but we'll discuss them. You got to see some starters across your screen there, some names to know for both squads. And for Lynchburg, start with Mason Kenna, team leader in the attack percentage here in the first two games, swinging it at .346 over the weekend. Nick Redding has the team lead in kills with 21, 14 of those against Wilson, 7 against Mount Aloysius. And Coach Ryan Turner mentioned you may see two different setters tonight. Noah Wolf will get the nod, and if the coaches think there's a better option on the bench, then they'll go that direction. But Coach Turner said that battle between the setters was really the closest position battle that they have had this season, Ethan, so far, and 3 capable setters on the roster. And expect to see all 3 guys play some this season. There's a look at Ryan Turner there on the left, Kevin Cardoza on the in the middle, and then the guy on the outside on the right is Thomas Chandler. And yes, the pregame introductions concluded by the always fantastic Joe Brennan. And it's just about time to roll here for Virginia Wesleyan. Watch out for Jamari Wills, 261 kills last year. Landon Brinkley had 268 for this squad last season, playing every game. And their talented setter. Looks like it's going to be Beckham Rumbawo. The setter in volleyball is so unique too, Ethan. There's not really many positions like that in sports. Maybe the quarterback out there on the gridiron, but that setter has a lot of responsibilities, and they can really impact the game in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like the setters, the shot caller. They're so important. If you have a fantastic center, it just makes that much of a better setup for your outside hitters or your inside hitters, and it's so key to have an important setter in your whole diagram that you have on this court. So if you have a good setter, you have really an entire dynamic that is going to bring you success into this one. And when you look at the Lynchburg squad, you kind of have to think that they're going in with an advantage, because this Virginia Wesleyan team knows absolutely nothing about any of their players. They know about, they know 6 sets of statistics, but really that's all you have to go off of. That's not much, and that's going to be really difficult for this Virginia Wesleyan squad.
Good point. A lot of unknowns here. You just got to strap it on and play some volleyball. Saya Hall will check in as the libero for Virginia Wesleyan in the white jersey. Marlins on the left side of your screen, coming to us from Virginia Beach. Rest of the squad, other than the libero, wearing the royal and the light blue. Lynchburg on the right side there in the home reds with the black accent. And we are just about ready to go. First Lynchburg men's volleyball home game right here inside Turner. And we'll mark it down as 6:02 for the first serve in the air on January 21st, 2025. Really exciting stuff, and we'll talk about some of the differences in the men's and the women's game, Ethan. A lot of the folks watching will know those differences, but there are a few minor differences to get into. Good, strong serve to open up. Ryan Turner said serving will be important. Lynchburg had a lot of aces this weekend. Lynchburg did have a lot of errors, 33 serving errors in the 2 games. First point in the books, and it will go to the Virginia Wesleyan Marlins with the early 1-0 lead.
Well, I think what's going to be so exciting in this one is not just that it's going to be a fantastic volleyball game, but the amount of athleticism that we see on the court and on the bench. It's going to make this one even more fantastic of a matchup.
This is Jagger Ogle serving to the back line. Lynchburg will get in system and get a kill. Down to the floor early. There's the first home point. And the home fans show their appreciation with some high volume inside Turner.
Students back in town, a ton of athletes right here in front of us. It's going to be loud in here in Turner Gymnasium.
Serving on the line for Lynchburg, Jeremiah Costello. That one's too strong. And the Marlins take the advantage back 2-1. The game, played so much more above the net in the men's side, the men's game, and the net is slightly higher than the women's game. The other thing that's higher are those tosses on the serves. The guys really throw it up high. That one's off the hands and out for a Lynchburg point, and it had some steam on it.
We're going to go back to the athleticism a ton tonight. It feels like it's all around. It's in the air. You see how high they get up there. Like you said, the net's higher. The play at the net, it's going to be fantastic. And I couldn't imagine jumping that high, and the power that we see behind all these shots. It's going to be spectacular.
Heath Atkins in to serve. Last kill from Nick Redding, first-year man from San Diego, California. You'll be hearing that name a bunch. A little bit of a softer serve by Atkins, but it bothers Virginia Wesleyan enough. They tap it over. Let's see if Lynchburg can make something out of this. Redding roll shot. There's one that's tight to the net, but then blistered down to the floor. Virginia Wesleyan will snatch that lead back again. Looked like it was number 16, Carlisle Campbell. Yeah, Campbell's a force, a sophomore from Chesapeake, played in every match last year. Led the team with 45 blocks. It's a block and a half, or a half a block per set, rather. And he racked up 80 kills last season as well from the middle. Back to serve now with his Marlins leading 3-2. Virginia Wesleyan was 8-18 last year, as that one floats long from Campbell to tie our ball game up again. We're tied at 1, we were tied at 2, we were tied at 3. Neither team finding much separation at the moment, Ethan.
Well, with the difference in play between what we saw last fall with women's volleyball. It's going to be completely different, and it just makes serving that much more important.
Southpaw Nick Redding will let one fly, and that's too long. Back to the importance of the serving. You want to serve tough, but we're seeing both teams have some difficulty getting those serves in. Lynchburg, just back to the serving numbers really quick, and this is 2 matches in. It's 12 service aces, 33 errors. And I asked Ryan Turner about the ratio there. He said he's okay with it right now. It just depends on what serve a guy is going for. If you're trying to go for your A+ and trying to let it rip, then probably okay with a few more errors. But if you're just trying to get one in and you have a miss hit, well, that's not something the coaching staff is going to feel real good about.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you want power on your shots, but really it comes down to accuracy. If you can get the right angle on it, you can put as much power of it as you want.
5-3 advantage, actually the biggest lead of the contest so far for Virginia Wesleyan, but there's another serve that is slightly too strong and out of play. Mason Kenna back to serve for Lynchburg. Go ahead.
We saw a little bit of confusion on the Virginia Wesleyan side. To me, that looked like it did hit the line. Referee's word goes, though, and that will be point Lynchburg.
Well, it was awfully close, and I get the feeling we're going to be seeing that all season. That was an absolute fastball from Mason Kenna, and he'll fist pump it an ace off the pack to tie our game up again, 5-5. The strong serving. We haven't really seen many long rallies yet because both teams are serving tough. There have been some errors and some aces. So right now it is kind of a serving duel at the moment. Look at that high toss. Nearly hits the ceiling. That one pulled up well by Jamari Wills and then put down on the far side for Wesleyan's 7th lead of the game, perhaps. It's a 6-5 advantage right now for the Marlins.
Well, we see Lynchburg's getting up and they're putting some contact on these kills from Virginia Wesleyan. It's more just getting into the right spot at this point.
Christian Harris with the previous kill and then the serve there. They'll go to Wills. He got blocked. Did it stay in? It did not. That's a Virginia Wesleyan point. The double block on the far right side for Lynchburg could not keep the ball between the lines there. Back to a 2-point advantage for Virginia Wesleyan. I want to talk about the ball for a second, E, because it is slightly different than the women's ball. It's got a little bit of friction when you touch it, and a little bit firmer, most of the guys will say, than the women's ball. And that's a relatively new thing. When you talk to Ryan Turner and Kevin Cardoza, the coaches for Lynchburg, they said they always played with the same ball that the women played with, but now the NCAA has this slightly different volleyball for the guys to use. That one got up in the rafters. We'll talk about the ceiling some. That will come into play here at Turner quite a bit. Too many contacts there for Virginia Wesleyan, and Lynchburg breaks a 3-0 scoring run from the Marlins. Lynchburg back within 2.
Well, going into the ceiling, obviously we're not 100% sure of all of these arenas that Virginia Wesleyan have played in, but every single team that comes here into Lynchburg, you can see at first there's a little bit of a struggle. I feel like at the beginning of most matches, they have to know that that ceiling's up there and they've got to prepare for that.
Blocked and roofed on the outside. Stefan Kapitanoff really leading the way there. He's a guy that's on the soccer team as well and a big-time blocker up front. The official's just going to walk over and tell Stefan maybe to tone down the celebration just a little bit. He got into that one. Getting excited about the block, and Lynchburg's back within 1 now. Ryan Turner will get some confirmation from the official as well.
I think that energy is so crucial for both of these teams, especially for Lynchburg, a home match. The energy you're going to get from not only on the court, but from your fans right here in front of us and on the other side of the court is so huge, especially with a new program and a new sport here at Lynchburg.
Stefan's a fiery guy. Saw him in practice. He was getting after it there. He is a force blocking up front as well. 5 total blocks already this season. And you can add an assist to the tally there on that big play. Bad pass from the back row. That'll end up being a service ace. Lynchburg's talented setter from Eagan, Minnesota, Noah Wolf, came sliding across the hardwood to try to rescue that one, but unable to get there in time. And the Marlins take the lead back to 3, 10-7. Fielded well by the libero, Braden Berardo. Now Virginia Wesleyan struggling. Free ball coming here. Let's see where Lynchburg goes. That is an absolute missile from Jeremiah Costello, the 6'3" man from Chesterfield, rising high. Perfect delivery from the setter, Wolf.
Yeah, beautiful power, beautiful accuracy. Put it in the perfect spot where no Marlin could get to it, and a perfect point there for Lynchburg.
Yeah, really read that opening in the defense nicely. Lynchburg taking advantage of the free ball. But yeah, back to the roof, the ceiling. Lynchburg said this weekend the ceiling was at least twice as high as it is here in Turner. So kind of a true arena feel for them this weekend up in Pennsylvania. You come back here, you got to play with the lower ceiling and the rafters. The ball bounces around, and remember the rule there: if it stays on your side, then you can play it. Obviously, if you touch a ball, it hits the ceiling, and it goes to the other side of the net, then you lose the point. Pretty simple there, but that ceiling can be tricky. I mean, it's like a set of monkey bars or some playground equipment up there.
Yeah, it's like there's some obstacles up there. You never know if it's going to hit the rafters and come straight down, or if you're going to get hit it above the rafters. It's going to play around up there, come back down for a set. It makes it really tough, and it, you know, for some people, it might make it just a little more interesting.
I think so, for the fans anyway. Maybe not so much for the players. Lynchburg will go outside again, and there's a roof put on by Virginia Wesleyan. That was Landon Brinkley, and then also Matthew Shepard putting the top on. And now Virginia Wesleyan with their biggest advantage of set one. It's a 4-point lead for the Marlins. Be somewhat careful here if you're Lynchburg. Mishandled by the libero. There's one up in the rafters. Lynchburg will get to free ball it over. Berardo with the first and third touches there. And he'll take this one. Better pass that time. Lynchburg's going to get a strike from the back row and a point. Good rally right there, and actually what's been one of the longer rallies we've seen tonight, Evan.
Well, when you look at it, it looked a little bit like some of the Lynchburg blockers were a little late on that initial hit towards their own side, but just really, really tough resilience from this Hornet defense, setting it up perfectly for a really, really strong hit.
It's Kyle and Ethan, by the way. I'm sorry, Ethan. I'll make a public apology there. That's a great one on the back line. Ooh. That looked like it was close to being in. We've seen several serves that are very, very close. But yes, you know, you and I both work with our guy Evan Gates a lot. But
close name.
But tonight it's Ethan Morotsky. It is, but I mean, at this point it does start to feel inexcusable here as Lynchburg will have an overpass, burn them, and now Virginia Wesleyan starting to feel like they're getting some traction here. It's interesting because we're biased, but it feels like Lynchburg's had the better points, the more eye-pleasing points. But Virginia Wesleyan's got a 5-point lead right now.
Well, yeah, obviously we've seen powerful hits from this Lynchburg side, but it just shows you how much goes into volleyball when you see how Virginia Wesleyan's been doing with their points.
Going to be a Virginia Wesleyan point. Somebody from Lynchburg was in the net. Really a great job by Jagger Ogle to lay out and pancake one off the floor. And here comes your first timeout of the evening. We'll step aside for a little breather as well. Right now it's Virginia Wesleyan 15, Lynchburg 9 on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. It's Lynchburg and Virginia Wesleyan. It's an ODAC matchup here between the Hornets and the Marlins. Kyle and Ethan back with you on a Tuesday night with so many of our fans. Lynchburg is playing this weekend in Ashland against Messiah and Eastern. Next home game for the Lynchburg Hornets will be Saturday, February 1st. It'll be Avert and Marymount that come to town that day. Ethan, so we'll look forward to that. Look forward to more volleyball. We got more basketball inside Turner here. It's a busy winter season. And then the spring season is really right around the corner. I mean, we're going to be talking about baseball and softball and lacrosse.
You know, I can't wait to talk about baseball, Kyle. It's going to be such an amazing season for hopefully every single team here in the spring and even the rest of these winter seasons going on. But it's going to be a ton of fun. It's a Tuesday night. You were talking about it. Not only is it any Tuesday night, and not only is it just the home opener for this Lynchburg men's volleyball team, but this is the first day of classes for Lynchburg. And to have all these really bright young students out here taking their time out of their cold Tuesday night to support their men's volleyball home opener. It's something you're always going to get here in Lynchburg.
Well, great insights there. The campus life is sometimes hard to understand for folks that haven't been through it, or guys like me that haven't been through it in a while. But you're right, that first day of class, there's a good crowd in here. I feel like that first day of class, I just wanted to go home and go to sleep. But we do have a lot of fans in here. Nice job by Lynchburg to get a seal there on the outside. Bryce Jackson, Mason Kenna teaming up for a good stop. And this is a good after timeout result here for Lynchburg. Get a couple points under their belt. Maybe now the Hornets can find a little traction.
Absolutely. Getting your first point out of a timeout is important, but I feel like more importantly, it's getting the points after that, carrying your first point into a little bit of a run to get them back into this game and tie it up maybe.
For sure. Got to sustain it. Got to keep it going. Lynchburg free ball coming, but the touch was not clean. And that'll be a Marlin point. Well, most of those rules as far as the ball handling are the same in the men's and the women's game. You do have a few additional restrictions on the libero. Libero cannot serve in the men's game. In the women's game, the libero can serve. And some slightly different rules for the attacking. But for the most part, it's the same game. Just as we said, played a bit more above the net. And these guys are super athletic, man. You know, they just really spring off the floor. And then side to side, going for those loose balls and those pin balls. You see so much athleticism. There's one that's stuffed and sent back. Team stopped by Terrell Lee Roosevelt Taylor. And then Christian Harris in the mix there as well for Virginia Wesleyan. Beg your pardon, I think it was Matthew Shepard again on that one. Virginia Wesleyan's been blocking well in this ball game, and we can pull up some live stats and see if we have some numbers that will validate that a little bit. Tip shot lifted off the floor. Nice defense there from the Marlins. They're everywhere, and Lynchburg can't get to that one. Jeremiah Costello left his feet, tried to make the spatula move, but couldn't quite get there in time with the right hand.
And Marlins going on a really good run here. Lynchburg came out of the timeout getting that first point. Thought we were going to get a little bit of momentum there. Virginia Wesleyan doing everything they can to shut that down.
Yeah, Marlins really feeling like they're going to take control here. Net violation, Lynchburg point. A couple players up at the top of the tape. And somebody made contact with the barrier.
You know, going back to some of the rules, and we talk about how they're a little different from women's volleyball, but we are just as excited to be here as we would be there in the fall semester. It's going to be really interesting to see how consistent this Lynchburg fan base is coming to these games. Obviously, we have a ton of seats. It looks like almost every single red seat is filled down here. You see a bunch of people on the other side, along with some Virginia Wesleyan fans. I think consistency not only on the court, but consistency off the court, watching the game, is also just as important. I know that playing with a loud crowd right behind you to help you out is just as important.
It can be a true seventh man for this Lynchburg team. We know Hornets fans typically support their athletics in a big way. Nick Redding with an ace there while we were talking. Lynchburg down 6, though, and really in that danger zone, trailing 19-13. Same rules as far as the points. We're playing to 25, got to win by 2. First to win 3 sets. If you go to a 5th set, that becomes a race to 15, but you still have to win by 2. Virginia Wesleyan serving left side of your screen. Good one there. Let's see where Lynchburg goes in the first swing, and it's either a miscommunication or a mistimed jump, but Bryce Jackson took flight. Ball was not on target. He tried to swipe it back, couldn't get there in time. Jackson and the setter, Wolf, talking that one over. Maybe just simple miscommunication, but Lynchburg's down 7.
Yeah, it looked like you almost got that readjustment there, tried to get that ball over the net. Like you said, we're not going to know. Could have been miscommunication, could have just been a offset, but Lynchburg going to have to find a way to go on their own little run, maybe turn it into a large run, get back in this first set.
You got to get busy here. Mason Kenna to serve for Lynchburg. He's actually a junior transfer, Carolina University. He's a Charlotte, North Carolina guy. That serve too strong. Lynchburg statistically, Ethan, has 2 aces. Lynchburg has 5 errors to go along with that. Kenna and Redding have the 2 aces. Lynchburg down 7 again. And there's a serving error from the Virginia Wesleyan side. And on that note, let's talk about their numbers. 2 aces for the Marlins, and now 4 serving errors for Virginia Wesleyan.
Well, we talked about it a couple of times throughout the women's volleyball season. Errors are so important to keep on the low number. Obviously, aces are going to come, but errors, whether they're mental errors or they're physical mistakes, they're so important to keep low, and that's what really, if you can keep those numbers down, that's what really helps you keep a run going.
Bryce Jackson trying to get it going from the service line. Ace there. Christian Harris got his platform to it. But back to that ceiling, it's just a high velocity serve, so it's very hard to keep it from going in the ceiling. Jackson puts that one in the net, and then we'll exchange out for the libero. Braden Berardo, 6-foot first-year man from Midlothian, Virginia, wears the white jersey for Lynchburg. Tapped over. Hornets probably didn't love that offensive exchange. A block sent back, and then that one put down. That's Jamari Wills. Good touch on that. Really just kind of pushed straight at it. It was almost a punch kind of shot there from Wills, who's a sophomore from Newport News.
Yeah, really good job finding the open space. Nobody on Lynchburg was around that area. Perfect placement there, and a really good job for Virginia Wesleyan.
Yeah, didn't need the big full arm swing there. Wolf will go back to Costello, and then that one spins off the block and out of bounds for a Lynchburg point. Hornets only need 2. 23, should be 23-17. Yep, scoreboard just changed over. So Lynchburg, maybe they can get really busy right here with the setter Wolf serving. He's going to need a long run on the service line. Big high toss, flies into it, and wide left out of his hand for an error. And now Virginia Wesleyan just 1 point away here in set number 1.
Well, it looks like he was called. His foot did touch the line on that serve.
Good call.
So I mean, you kind of saw it all there in the last 3 points. You saw an error, and you saw 2 points. And the beauty of volleyball is that you don't need placement and you don't need power, but you can use both of them. And we saw the point for Virginia Wesleyan. They placed it perfectly there. And then the next point for Lynchburg, just a ton of power. And the block went awry. And that's the beauty of volleyball. You don't really know what you're going to get, and you can use everything to your advantage.
And you talked about the consistency as a team. I would argue the consistency in the serving is the same way, and that's individually and as a collective unit as well. That was a fantastic serve that just nosedived, but Wills got it up, and he took kind of a wild roundhouse swing at that one and sent it into the mesh. So Lynchburg's still alive here. More work to do as Virginia Wesleyan just 1 point away from victory.
Well, it looked like he tried to catapult his arm into that one. That would have been an interesting, that would have been one that I've never seen before, and I'm sure we would have had some words for that.
Yeah, points for creativity for sure. Wills will try to finish it off now, and he just missiled that one out of bounds into the scorer's table. We've got our buddy, look at Tim LaDuca over there. He had to flinch because that one was looking his way, coming his way, and he knows we're talking about him as well. As he's and Eli are sitting beside each other. You can only laugh about that one as you don't expect to have to go into self-defense mode at the scorer's table.
Well, as soon as that one hit that side of the table, we saw Tim look up at us because he knows exactly what we're doing.
He knows we were talking about him. Meanwhile, we're having a laugh, but Lynchburg's really getting after it, so much so that Carissa Cumberbatch is going to call a timeout for Virginia Wesleyan. Hey, let's stay here and watch some of these fantastic highlights and talk more volleyball. Kyle Haney, my partner tonight, is Ethan Morotsky, and we are having a ball hanging out with you. It is game number 1 at home for the Lynchburg Hornets. It is game 3 of 26 on the schedule, I believe, this year for Lynchburg. For Virginia Wesleyan, it's match number 1 of 26. These teams will meet at Virginia Wesleyan on Wednesday, March 19th. So something to look forward to there as well.
Yeah, going to be a different matchup. Not only is it just a home game for Virginia Wesleyan, but obviously later down the road, you're going to have more stats for not just Lynchburg, but every other team. Your team's not only going to be getting better with experience, and that's something that hopefully this Lynchburg team is going to take advantage of. And we talked about it before the game even started. We talked about how important these early games are for the Hornets. Hopefully they're going to get even better every single game. It comes down to experience. We talk about it every single game that we are on a call together, how important experience is. But the chemistry between this team, it's only going to get better every single game. This is obviously a new program, new team. These people have never played with each other before. So hopefully what we're going to see here every single game and even every single set, this team right here is going to get even better.
Mentioned Carissa Cumberbatch, head coach for Virginia Wesleyan. She's in, obviously, her second season coaching the men's team. I say obvious because the Marlins have had their men's team in existence for 2 seasons, and there you go. Timeout worked. That's the end of set number 1. Virginia Wesleyan put it away there. Started off close. Marlins pulled ahead. Lynchburg tried to hang on, but in the end, a 4-point victory for Virginia Wesleyan. We are back to recap it and get you ready for set 2 in just a moment. Virginia Wesleyan up 1-0 early here on Lynchburg, on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
A lot of people go to the universities to find something to be a part of while getting their education. And when you come here, Lynchburg is that something. It becomes a family. It's what the school's really good at doing.
"65 years ago, Virginia Farm Bureau made our local farmers a promise to protect and preserve the way of life they work so hard to establish. Today, our insurance agents work to protect all Virginians, not just farmers. But the original promise remains. And when you have insurance with Virginia Farm Bureau, you're an important part of upholding it. So help keep Virginia, Virginia. Talk to your local Farm Bureau insurance agent today."
Every great college has a great city. For Lynchburg, we are near urban areas with lots of restaurants, shopping, and events. Plus, we are one of the top schools in the area. Come see for yourself.
My name is Brittany Coleman. I graduated in 2014 and I have a major in chemistry and a minor in secondary education, and I'm currently teaching chemistry and 7th grade science at a local combined school. Being able to have access to your professors pretty much anytime they're in their office is really helpful, especially in difficult science subjects. I love that I am able to teach a difficult subject to students who typically aren't going to perceive it as enjoyable. I'm able to present it in an interesting way because I was presented this information in an interesting way. It's nice for me to be able to mirror what it was that influenced me to be able to teach.
One set in the rear view mirror and set 2 on the way. Let's see if Lynchburg can get one to go their way. Kyle and Ethan, back with you. 25-21, the Virginia Wesleyan victory in what was a pretty competitive set number 1. I think you and I both thought, Ethan.
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at the beginning of the set, it was going back and forth. There were a ton of ties and a ton of lead, well, not so lead changes, but the Marlins, they would get it tied up. They would take the lead back, tie up, take the lead back. So it was really competitive in the beginning of the set. So it's really going to come down to if the Marlins can, again, take that jump and take that little bit of a lead and go on a run, or if it's going to be Lynchburg this time and see if they can go on their own.
Christian Harris leading Virginia Wesleyan with 4 kills. Jagger Ogle with 4 aces also for the Marlins, who had 1 team block. Lynchburg on the other side. Kills were pretty well spread out. Redding and Costello both with 2 apiece there. Wolf 6 assists, and Lynchburg had 3 guys with 1 ace apiece. Lynchburg did have 2 total blocks. Virginia Wesleyan up 1-0. Obviously not panic time right here for Lynchburg, but maybe 1 or 2 things that need to change. Ethan, pretty strong serve to start. And again, we saw from both teams good serving at times, but then also some serving that they could not get in play. So a little bit of a mixed bag there, which is not uncommon in volleyball, but sometimes hard to talk about it on the broadcast.
Well, absolutely, and there's a perfect example right there of precision, as we see just perfect placement right there. And that when we talk about Lynchburg, it could go into positioning on their own. We see that they've had a ton of points on Virginia Wesleyan's side where it's really been all about placement.
Short Shepard. A little tap shot there. See if Lynchburg can make something out of this. Strong strike from Nick Redding, but it's just out of play. I love the aggressiveness from Lynchburg with the swings. I mean, I don't think they're short on confidence on the offensive end. Do you?
No, absolutely not. I mean, we look like we're putting everything into the ball, and that's something that you really want to see. And placement is one thing that you can practice and you can get better at. So confidence is something that takes maybe a little bit longer to get back to. I know in baseball you've got the yips, and that's something that can take weeks or a month or 2 to get out of your system. But confidence is so big, and that's what we're really seeing from this Lynchburg side, like you said. So really it's all about finding their groove and really going on a run and putting Virginia Wesleyan on the back foot.
Another strong serve that goes out. Lynchburg will give the ball right back. Jamari Wills, the sophomore from Newport News, serving. That's impressive. He had some impressive moments in set number 1. High toss there. Gets it over with the heel of the hand. A violation on Lynchburg in the net again. Coach Ryan Turner is going to step up, not to talk to the official, but just to have a word with his team. As on your screen there, you got to see Jamari Wills fending off a couple volleyballs. He had one that was thrown to him that he was going to catch, and then the previous ball in play started coming his way. So good quick thinking and electric athletic abilities there. Wills will take flight from the back row. Good sliding save right there by Lynchburg's libero, Braden Berardo, and it will lead to a point. Good teamwork there by Lynchburg. Really did very nice. Yeah, there it was. Berardo just sliding on the knees there to his left, and then great placement on the tip shot.
Well, we were just talking a couple seconds ago about how Lynchburg's been all power and all confidence, and that's switching it up right there, finding ways to get points when you're really in a slump.
Let's see if Lynchburg can find a way to get here. Free ball coming. Where do they go? Mishit that time by Nick Redding. Didn't get the handful on that one, and the tip shot wasn't available either. Lynchburg tried to rescue it at the end there, but Stefan Kapitanov couldn't quite lift it off the hardwood. Scoreboard has gone out at Lynchburg. We've still got it on our screen, though. It's just out inside the gymnasium.
Well, that's the beauty of LHSN, is we're always going to have it there for you.
Yeah, got to have multiple options. Lynchburg's got multiple options in the middle. And this is a first attack right here. Really good. Go to the middle. Kapitanov does not miss on that one. Quick tempo. One way to maybe get some points on this Virginia Wesleyan defense, which is really seems to be strong blocking up front, and they're good at the passing game on that back row as well. As I think the official has gone to the scores table to make sure the score is correct. The scoreboard in the gym is back on, and your score on the screen, we believe, is correct as well. This is Heath Atkins, first-year man from Yorktown, Virginia, Tab High School, to serve. And Atkins with a good dig right there. Both teams really getting after it defensively. Case in point on that one. Oh, Lynchburg had 2 players in the same spot, but guess what? Wesleyan had 2 at the net, and that ended up being a pretty easy block there. Terrell Lee Roosevelt Taylor, the ringleader on that one.
Well, we obviously saw some miscommunication here, as there a little bit of words in the post-point huddle. Hopefully they can get that figured out soon. They're only down by 3. Don't want to talk like they're down by a ton of points, but miscommunication like that goes a long way, especially in a game that's really all about communication.
Well, and Virginia Wesleyan's going to force you into so many errors, so you don't want to have many unforced things that Virginia Wesleyan didn't cause you to do, and I would argue maybe that last one would fall into that category right there. Good dig to go backwards by Costello and get that. Lynchburg's going to try to make some hay, but not this time. Blocked again. And that was A.J. Davis teaming up with Terrell Lee Roosevelt Taylor. They're firm up front. Coach Ryan Turner for Lynchburg wants a timeout to talk it over, so we will have one as well. Right now, Marlins 7, Lynchburg 3. Virginia Wesleyan is up 1-0 inside Turner Gymnasium. Lynchburg trailing 7-3 in set 2 action. Lynchburg did drop set 1. Right now the attack percentage not great for Lynchburg. They're in negative numbers. 2 kills, 4 errors, and that's on 11 total attempts here in set 2. Lynchburg's in the negative numbers for the entire game as well. That one put down in the middle. I believe it was Terrell Lee Roosevelt Taylor. 4 names, 1 big impact at the net. He's really been impressive. And A.J. Davis, those are 2 first-year guys up front for Virginia Wesleyan. So we know the Marlins had a ball club last year, and they do have a lot of sophomores on the team, but they got some young talent as well. How about that electric and straight down from Bryce Jackson? I mean, that's climbing the ladder and then just dropping the hammer straight down to the floor.
Well, Lynchburg preaching what we were talking about earlier. Just a beautiful set leads up to a perfect kill right there for Lynchburg, and hopefully they can ride some of this momentum, get some points back, and take a first lead in this set.
Nick Redding to serve, high toss, heavy backspin, fended off nicely. Shepard will come from the back row. Lynchburg saying Bryce Jackson slamming the door over there. Really impressive. Teamed up with Mason Kenna on that one. Access denied. Lynchburg's within 3.
Beautiful setup there in front of the net, putting their arms on the line. I say this all the time when we watch women's volleyball. I don't. Their forearms have to be red after all of these games, and I don't know how they do it.
Well, you think that you could have a bit more protection there. If nothing else, just save you a little bit of discomfort. But you need that feel, though, I guess. I don't know. We need to interview some players and,
we'll definitely
and find out.
I mean, maybe it could be the blood rushing. I don't know.
I think in the match there, as Virginia Wesleyan will scurry another point away. I think in match you probably don't think about it as much. But, yeah, certainly after the game or if it's not an intense practice and you wear one off the skin, yeah, I think you're going to notice it then for sure. You're not wrong.
Well, what we could do is we could also ask our very own Tiana Artest how it feels.
That's true.
Women's volleyball players, fantastic job doing her camera work in LHSN, but I mean, looking at baseball, you see elbow guards worn all the time, and so it's something that you're right. We are going to have to interview somebody about that and how it feels.
Wyatt Nunes is going to check in the ball game for Lynchburg. He's in the back row right now. Has played 2 sets up to this point. Nunes is a first-year guy from Lathrop, California. Well, let's see. The California contingent is Nunes and Nick Redding from San Diego. And then the rest of the squad really from all over. I mean, it's impressive. You know, I love the geography, and I could talk about it all day, Ethan, but there's volleyball to talk about as well. Lynchburg does trail 11-6. And trying to fight back in it there. The official got down for not the bird's eye view, but the worm's eye view on that one, and it's out. 6-point advantage for Virginia Wesleyan. And this is a little bit reminiscent of set one. It came a little bit later in set one, but Marlins they seem to pull away. They seem to get 2 or 3 points for every one from Lynchburg. Pushed over by Bryce Jackson. And then wide, Wills looking for a touch, no touch. No touch. That's a Lynchburg point. Wills thought maybe he got a piece of that skin that we talked about going outside.
Well, we talk about it, you know, a couple times here and there whenever we broadcast these games, and throughout this entire match we've seen, wouldn't really say complaints, just a couple of words looking at the ref saying there was a touch or they got the net or something like that. And when you look at other sports like basketball, you can go ahead and look at the replay on basketball, and they've done that a couple times. But when you look at volleyball, you can't really do that. Obviously, we have replays up here, like right here on that kill, but something that maybe Division III sports could possibly implement at some point. Obviously, it would have to be later on because not every team has as good of a broadcast as we have with the people that we have working here, but maybe something that Division III sports can implement in all of their sports.
Jamari Wills, who seems to be in a lot of our conversations here, getting a lot of touches for Virginia Wesleyan. He rose up high and slammed the last one down and then had a word with the Lynchburg student section. I think it was maybe something other than how the first day back at classes were. But everything seems to be healthy and still sportsmanlike at the moment anyway. But you never know. You know how these tensions and tempers can be, as Noah Wolf will serve. First-year setter is from Eagan, Minnesota, looking over the defense, ready to throw it in for Lynchburg, who really needs a run. Lynchburg needs to rip off 4 or 5 in a row. A big, strong swing that's out. Was there action in the net from Lynchburg? Yeah, it's going to be a Virginia Wesleyan point. Jamari Wills, there's that name again. He's kind of trying to shake some feeling back in the right leg as he either came down awkwardly or banged his knee against somebody else's.
Yeah, it looked like he could be. Looks like he's covering, can't tell if he's covering the knee or his quad. Maybe he got a little bit of a Charlie horse. We're not too sure. It looks like he's doing a really good job walking it off, though.
Yeah, I can't tell. Wow, you could see him with some issues jumping into that serve there. Maybe Lynchburg can take advantage. Yeah, Wills tried to dive and save that one. Couldn't do it, and that's a Lynchburg point. And I think the head coach, Carissa Cumberbatch, is kind of asking him, do you need a substitute or not? Oh, worth pointing out in the men's game, 12 subs per set, Ethan, 12 subs. And that's 16 in the women's game, so you have a few less subs. There's a serve that will hit the tape from Jeremiah Costello. A little dewdrop in, and it's a Lynchburg point. All of a sudden, the Hornets are within 4.
Yeah, really nice job here from the Hornets the last couple points. Getting some consecutive points here, going on a run. See if they can keep contesting this Marlins defense.
That was the fastball from Jeremiah Costello. He really leaned into that one too strong. Good read by the passers on the back row for Virginia Wesleyan to let that go because of that velocity. I mean, that's instantaneous. That's split-second type stuff. Carlisle Campbell serving for Wesleyan. Punched over. Campbell's there. Lynchburg can get in system. Let's see where Wolf goes. Back set, off target, but tipped along by Nick Redding. Play on, good rally here. Best of the second set. It's out of play, and it's a Virginia Wesleyan point. And they're thrilled about that. Big time celebration on what was a great rally.
Yeah, a lot of running around there. Good job from both teams. Like we said, I mean, that was probably one of the longer rallies that we've had all night. Really good job by Wesleyan to keep their composure and end up winning that one.
And I, you know, after this broadcast, I don't know that we'll talk about the differences and the similarities between the men's and women's too much, but worth pointing out, the rallies do tend to be a little bit shorter in the men's game. And part of that is just how good the guys are offensively. They can put points away. They're pretty surgical when they get a chance. Let's see if you get some surgery right there. Yeah, that one does not stay in play, off the hands of Matthew Shepard and out. Lynchburg back within 5. But, you know, in the women's game, I mean, that's one of the things we love, Ethan, is those marathon rallies that never seem to end. Players diving and going into the stands and their own bench. Not that you can't have that in the men's. It's just a bit more rare.
Well, yeah, and like we've been talking about really all matches, the amount of power that the men put on their shots, and not just up at the front of the net, but even on the serve. I mean, we see it sometimes it leads to errors, but when the serve lands, it looks beautiful. And we're not trying to sell the women's team short. You know, obviously we've got players like Kaylee Keough, Tori Williamson, and Ava Meinhardt. We've got powerful hitters, but you know, it just depends on really what you like. And you can get really both of it on both sides. It just depends on which one you like more.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you can like both equally. You know, variety is the spice of life.
There you go.
I often say, and the spice of volleyball. And then we can get into talking about the outdoor and the sand volleyball, which is also coming up for the Lynchburg Hornets as Shepard puts one into the net for Virginia Wesleyan. Yeah, that's coming up soon, and that's tricky because, as you know, wintertime in Virginia, especially this year, has been pretty fierce, so hard to get out there on the sand right now. In fact, I think the courts are still snow-covered, aren't they? Looked that way when I drove in.
Yeah, most likely, and obviously, even if they're not, you know, all that water probably sinks below the sand and freezes every night. Like yesterday, last night, it was 12 degrees. You know, we were talking earlier about how much it probably hurts the forearms and the wrists, and I can't imagine taking a volleyball really to any part of the body at 12-degree weather.
Yeah, no kidding. Christian Harris with a point there for Lynchburg. Nick Redding thought it was out. He actually ducked down, but did not make the correct read that time, unfortunately, for Lynchburg, who trails by 6. This is Christian Harris serving for Virginia Wesleyan.
When we talk about the correct read or not, it really goes into the fact of communication and experience, obviously, with players like we talk about on serves, how the back line has to know when or not, if it's going out or not. So really communication is so important, and that's something that hopefully we're going to see better with this Lynchburg team every single point, really, not just set and game, but every point hopefully they're going to get better at communicating and having more chemistry on this offense.
Big blast from the Mason Kenna. He'll go back and serve as well. Good job by Berardo to get that one up. Lynchburg's going to have to free ball it. And there's that miscommunication again. 2 players where one should be. And somebody's got to take over there. That's multiple instances we've seen this. Now, it's going to be a free ball, so Virginia Wesleyan will get a chance to probably have a good offensive setup. Still, you'd like to at least get the ball over the net if you're Lynchburg. Another serve into the net. It's 7 errors now for Virginia Wesleyan to 2 aces on the serving side there. Lynchburg has 4 aces to 12 errors.
Well, and this is something that Lynchburg's going to have to do a little bit better in. You know, obviously only a 5-point game, but these errors that Virginia Wesleyan are giving you, like you said, 7, you've got to capitalize on those points and get a couple rallies together and get some consecutive points to get a comeback going and hopefully get a lead change in this one.
Matthew Shepard sends one long. And Lynchburg does have back-to-back points, 19-15. Hornets down by 4. You can follow along with those live stats, lynchburgsports.com. And we invite you to check us out. Make sure you're plugged in to all the social media destinations. Another put down for Jamari Wills. He's racking up the terminations in this one. Wills, with now 6 in the match, shares the team lead with Christian Harris. Marlins win that first to 20 race, which is not the end-all be-all, but the coaches will tell you the first team to 20 more often than not will go on to win the set. And let's see if that's the case here. Lynchburg already leading 1-0. Setter in the game right now for Lynchburg is Miller Varley. first-year man from Bayport, New York. We'll talk about that after we return from the timeout. Coach Ryan Turner for Lynchburg will take another one. His squad is down 6, 21-15. Marlins on top in set 2 on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
My name is Sarah Watts, and I'm a computer science major. I chose to play softball at the University of Lynchburg because I came to friendlies and camps, and the team and the coaches were so welcoming, and after that, I knew this was the place for me. The University of Lynchburg has helped me achieve goals because through my classes, I do group projects, and I think that will prepare me for my job when I need to work with people. The person that has the most influence in my life would be my parents, because throughout my softball career, they have done nothing but support me. And when I have bad games, they always pick me up. And they're always the people that I go to for anything because they just know that they're always there for me. I like playing softball at the University of Lynchburg.
There's the score line in set 2. Virginia Wesleyan took set 1, 25-21. Lynchburg calling another timeout, trying to reorganize, trying to slow down some of this Virginia Wesleyan momentum. We have felt that the first two sets here have been pretty back and forth, but the margin is so thin. And this Virginia Wesleyan team can make you pay for your mistakes. Lynchburg's had a few self-inflicted wounds as well. Let's see if they can avoid those. Net joust. Wills won that. It'll lead to a decent setup here for Virginia Wesleyan. Libero will set Matthew Shepard. And yeah, he'll sprinkle one down to the floor again. Virginia Wesleyan inching closer, 3 points away now from a set 2 win.
That's pinpoint accuracy from number 6, Matthew Shepard there. I mean, just everything in that hit was screaming perfection.
Hornets have to be real sharp here. Maybe miscommunication on the set from Varley to cap it off. And it's going to burn Lynchburg again. A point for the Marlins. And all of a sudden, Virginia Wesleyan might be looking for the broom closet pretty quickly here. Jagger Ogle, who had 4 aces, is at the service line right now. A good one to have there when you're only 2 points away. Changes up front for Lynchburg. Sam Pennington into the ball game now. Sam Pennington from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Myrtle Beach is a nice place. Had a couple tournaments there growing up.
Maybe a little bit warmer there right now. Although I think most everywhere is experiencing this cold stuff.
Yeah.
You know who's not cold is Jamari Wills. He has another termination for Virginia Wesleyan, really starting to heat up and seems to be enjoying his volleyball up there as well. A lot of dancing, celebrating, smiles, and laughter for Virginia Wesleyan right now. See how long Lynchburg can hold them off. Setter got sent right back, and that is a set 2 victory, 25-15. It looked dominant at times for Virginia Wesleyan. They're going to try to go for the sweep on the road here. Can Lynchburg get a set victory and extend this match? Find out when we come back on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network.
You have a great look. Let me just tell you that. I know you don't know me yet, but I want to work with you. I'll get a picture real quick.
He has no heart, no passion. He looks lost out there. Yeah, thanks, man.
Just once more, and you came and you took control. You touched my very soul. You always show me that loving you is where it's at. You made me so.
I was looking for a school that could provide me with the athletics, academics to pursue my career, a wind symphony to pursue my passion for music, and really have a nice general atmosphere. The professors here are really unique. Their background and their passion for teaching. It's really a place where you can explore. Lynchburg gives you the opportunity to fail, but also get back up in that period of time and learn from your mistakes. I can make these mistakes within the school environment, but also with the support of other friends, and be ready for the real world when you graduate.
Every great college has a great city. For Lynchburg, we are near urban areas with lots of restaurants, shopping, and events. Plus, we are one of the top schools in the area. Come see for yourself.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. That's what you have here tonight. That's what you've earned here tonight. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Welcome back to Turner Gymnasium. We're on the campus of the University of Lynchburg. Kyle Haney, Ethan Marotsky. That's national champion Ethan Marotsky to you fans. But anyway, for Lynchburg, looking for something positive at this point. I think we had that for the Hornets quite a bit in set one, not as much in set two, as Virginia Wesleyan really started to feel dominant at times for the Marlins, didn't it?
Yeah, well, we saw that it was really two close sets in the first half. Maybe in the second one a little less than the first half, but we see that Lynchburg has some bright spots in their play. It's really all it comes down to is whether they can keep that resilience going, get some consecutive runs going, and really just keeping their focus throughout the entire set.
Coach Ryan Turner for Lynchburg said this would be a barometer game for our team. We'd get to find out just how good we were. Lynchburg comes into this game 2-0. And it was two sweeps. It's 6 set wins for Lynchburg so far this year and no set losses. But Coach Turner did admit that the competition would be quite a bit tougher here tonight. Virginia Wesleyan has proven that they are tough customers. 8-18 last season for the Marlins, but don't read too much into that because last year was Virginia Wesleyan's first season. So Lynchburg may have to go through some of those growing pains as well. Well, let's see how set 3 unfolds. A good rally to begin. Shepard will fly in. Let's see where Lynchburg goes. Back row attack, stunted. Now it's in the rafters. We actually haven't seen the ceiling come into play maybe as much as we thought, Ethan, but there's a point for Lynchburg, and they will take the first lead of set 3.
Well, like you said, we haven't seen it much, but it's something that you always have to keep in the back of your brain when you're down there on the court. You never know when it's going to go up there, and when it goes up there, you never know what's going to happen.
You just really have to react and become an athlete and try to move in as many directions as you can. Speaking of movers, there's that man again, Jamari Wills. He has really put this stamp on the ball game, at least in my opinion. Had some electric stuff and a throwdown there to tie the game here in set 3.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing a fantastic job tonight, doing really everything for this Marlins defense and offense.
Yeah, kind of shook off that Charlie horse earlier. There's a action in the net from Virginia Wesleyan. I think the Marlins thought it might have been illegal ball handling on Lynchburg. Is now we're going to have a chat about it with the official. I can tell you that Jamari Wills leading the way for Virginia Wesleyan with 9 kills on 16 swings. He's got an assist as well, 3 digs. Pretty good stat line there for Lynchburg. Jeremiah Costello, 4 terminations. Mason Kenna has 4 terminations. Lynchburg couldn't quite get to that one. Diving effort on the floor by Miller Varley, but he was just a split second late. And here comes Wills back to serve for Virginia Wesleyan with the game tied.
Well, we talk about Wills and how well he's done today, but we don't. It's really hard to go back and look at everything he's done. He's done everything on offense and defense. He's got that power shot. We've seen it. I mean, he can blast that ball down onto the floor past the net. but he's also been doing really well in his precision. I mean, if he finds that open spot, it's like his mind is locked in on it, and he knows exactly where to go with the ball.
Confident player. Heath Atkins in to serve. First-year man from Yorktown, Virginia. He probably would have some experience playing against some of these players for Virginia Wesleyan. Mentioned their bulk of their rosters from the Tidewater area. It's a lot of Chesapeake for Virginia Wesleyan, some Virginia Beach, some Norfolk and Newport News. So they really got the 7 cities covered there. And they're you got such a healthy base of athletes down there in the Virginia Beach area, don't you, Ski? I mean, you see that in really every sport in ODAC conference play. You're going to have a healthy dose of athletes from there. Speaking of healthy, that one was absolutely blistered. Nick Redding with a bomb. Watch this again. You won't be able to hear it, but that had a different sound there, didn't it?
Yeah, that was one of the more powerful shots we've probably seen tonight.
Back to your point about you catch that on the forearm. I mean, that's got to sting. That's got to leave a mark. Referee taking evasive action. Our line judge couldn't get out of the way in time. That ball is out, and it's a tie game 4-4.
Getting a little bit of an ovation from the Virginia Wesleyan bench there. It's not just the people on the court that are athletic. The referees can be athletic too.
Yeah, he's having a laugh about it. We saw Tim LaDuca and Eli Schilling having a laugh when a ball came in their direction. Back to the nature of this men's game, though. It's a faster game. It's high. That ball is high velocity. You have to look alive if you're on the front row or close. Oh, that one was right on the mark. Our line judge on the other side had to do a little do-si-do to get around that one. But in, and an ace from Matthew Shepard. I don't want to say Shepard's had a quiet night, but for a guy that averaged almost 3 kills per set last season, we haven't seen him so much doing that, but definitely an impact in this game. A pretty good set up front from the big man, A.J. Davis. I mean, he's a middle blocker, but did well to hand it off to the teammate there for another Wesleyan point. Okay, this is starting to have that feel. Lynchburg had a strong start. Now Virginia Wesleyan grabs the momentum, and that is similar to sets 1 and 2. Let's see if Lynchburg can flip the script. That one off the block and out. Strong swipe from Mason Kenna as flight 15 is cleared for takeoff.
Well, as you were talking, Lynchburg doing really well at the beginning of this set. Marlins coming back and taking the lead and keeping it as of right now. Teams that can start off slow and still make a set competitive and even win those sets, those are really what separates you from the new teams or the lesser of the pack teams.
For sure. A little bit of a miscommunication on the Marlin side. We'll give Lynchburg a point and tie our game 6-6. Let's see if Lynchburg can use it. Got a little bit of a gift or a break there. You got to take advantage of those. We feel that Virginia Wesleyan has done that. Now let's see if the Hornets can have some of that charity go their way. Mason Kenna with a good serve. I think the bigger guy there, A.J. Davis, is actually just setting. He's in the front row. I assumed he was a middle blocker, but I think he's the setter right now for Virginia Wesleyan. Not clean in the net from the Marlins that time. I believe it is no, the violation was on Lynchburg. You can take a look there, yeah.
It looks like he might have gotten a little bit of the net there on his way back from the block.
I think you're right. I think that was Miller Varley that as he was coming down, or maybe on that first step down, he had to sort of lean in that direction. Good shot just over the tape by Costello. Willis in play again and striking again. Jamari Wills. And that's really, really good right there.
Well, going back to what we were talking about earlier, it's like I feel like a broken record sometimes, but his mind is just locked in on where there is absolutely nobody for the Lynchburg team, and I'm sure in his mind he's thinking that it was it was a free point.
Yeah, he sees the defense well. Shepard from the back row, too strong. No, there was a touch. That's a Virginia Wesleyan point. Give Shepard a termination. Wills is in double digits now, double figures with 10 kills, by the way. His career high he set last year at 19. Everybody for Lynchburg basically set their career highs the first weekend of play. Oh, good battle up at the top there. That's Harrell Lee Roosevelt Taylor. getting his hand on top of the ball and putting it down. Another timeout for Coach Ryan Turner. He and his squad are looking for answers. Virginia Wesleyan up 4 again in set 3 action here on the Lynchburg Hornets Sports Network. Virginia Wesleyan by 4, looking for the sweep. Last year, Virginia Wesleyan got 5 sweep wins. They actually got swept 9 times. Didn't go to 5 sets very often last year for Virginia Wesleyan. If Lynchburg would like to get a victory tonight, it would have to be in 5 sets, trailing 2-0. There's one where the ceiling might have actually helped Virginia Wesleyan have a chance to get that ball back over. That set was tight to the net, so Miller Varley tried to take it over on 2, and he got sent straight back. Probably the right decision there as you get another look at it. Watch Varley, the setter. This one dangerously close to the tape. Jamari Wills again. That guy's everywhere.
He does everything for this team. Obvious player of the game, in my opinion, as of right now. He's doing a fantastic job in these first 3 sets.
I can't disagree with you. They'll go to Wills again. He tried 2 hands that time and got sent back. Bryce Jackson, I think the key man on that block for Lynchburg. Had some help over there on the far side. That was the setter Miller Varley up top to seal it away.
Might want to write a little note down. I mean, that's one of the few times we've been able to stop Jamari.
That's exactly right. He didn't go to his A shot there. He's got plenty of shots. Net joust that time. Jeremiah Costello tried to throw that one down with 2 hands and just mistimed it, misplaced it as well. And here's the first-year guy, Terrell Lee Roosevelt Taylor. One of several first years that has played. Setter number 24, A.J. Davis, has played. Here he is right here. Davis setting Wills. There's the thumper that hit the antenna, and that's a violation. So another rare miss for Jamari Wills. And a point for Lynchburg within 4.
Well, still a really good hit by him. Lynchburg got a little lucky that he hit that left antenna or right antenna, depending on which side you're looking at.
Yeah, good point. You could tell he had some frustration with himself. He definitely got the handful. Just clipped the antenna. Setter dumped there by Davis. Lynchburg's ready, but then Davis helping out on the block. No, wouldn't stay between the lines. That's a point for Lynchburg.
Really good job there keeping that one up. It looked like one of them might have slipped on that play, but that's where the rest of your team, I mean, there's 6 of you out there. And that's where, you could use the saying teamwork makes the dream work, but then you've got players like Jeremiah Wills who shuts that down.
Once again, another point for Wills. I'm with you. I think it would be hard to give a player of the game to anybody else right now, and I think the rest of the conference is on notice that this guy is a first-team all-conference type of talent. Jamari Wills from Newport News, Virginia. He is a sophomore. Played last year, 2.81 kills per set. Another miscommunication ball for Lynchburg. Just kind of around the campfire right there. Nobody went to take the serve. And it was a serve that was kind of floating as well. The Hornets unable to handle.
Well, it looked like maybe they would have thought that was out, but I mean, there were 3 players around it, so that's a gamble that you take every single type of play like that. And the gamble doesn't go Lynchburg's way.
And worth remembering, of course, worth remembering It is Lynchburg's first season. Yes, they have 2 victories already this year, but it's Lynchburg's first season. Some of those miscommunication errors will just get cleaned up naturally by playing with each other more, and then some will require some coaching. So that'll be up to Ryan Turner and his staff, which features the head women's coach Kevin Cardoza and also Thomas Chandler, assistant coach. That'll be up to them to talk about, you know, how much do we lean on these guys, because I have a feeling the team themselves is going to take this loss pretty hard. Assuming it is a loss, we're not done yet. Lynchburg down 5. There's still time. Mentioned they would need to go reverse sweep and win 3 sets in a row, as Virginia Wesleyan has taken the first 2.
Boy, wouldn't that be a fantastic volleyball game if they were to get that reverse sweep. But I want to go back and talk about the coaching staff. Turner and Cardoza are like the dynamic duo. Obviously, you look at when we were watching the women's volleyball, they were always talking during the game. We go down to their office, they're always talking with each other. They're kind of like, they're the dynamic duo here at Lynchburg.
I agree. A fantastic duo. And how about this fantastic serve that's just going to slip right over the net there. Philomaui with the serve and score there for the Lynchburg Hornets.
Might have been a perfect touch off the top of that net there on that serve.
It really was. You can't predict that. And now Lynchburg getting into it on their bench over there. You gotta like the energy from both squads, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely, especially from Lynchburg. Energy, maybe that's something that can turn the tide of this game. Showing a little bit of intensity.
Well, I think it's a good step in the right direction. You got to show some of that. Jordan Philomaui is a first-year man from Bothell, Washington. Could be Bothell, Washington. Got to research some of the pronunciations here. But Philomaui, I believe that is his first action of the season. Yes, he did not appear in the first 2 matches. So we got a lot of guys getting career first. It'll be a first ace there, and first set played. Nice effort to try to get a good serve, but Lynchburg unable to keep it off the hardwood. And the Marlins are inching closer. Go ahead.
It looked a little bit like he got his hand under it. I'm not 100% sure. I think that would have, obviously it was a fantastic effort, let alone what the outcome was, but couldn't keep that ball up into the air long enough for Lynchburg to play some defense there.
Grant Uni serving, and serving well. An ace for number 25, Grant Uni. There's another timeout on the court. We'll stay here and talk about some of the things that are coming up. It's a busy Saturday in the Hill City. We have men's and women's basketball here inside Turner. Ethan, there's also a home swim meet on Saturday. That'll have everybody on the LHSN staff busy. For this Lynchburg team, they are in action Friday and Saturday. They're going to play Messiah on Friday, Eastern on Saturday. Those games are in Ashland, just north of Richmond. They'll be at Randolph-Macon. And this Lynchburg team is then home again Saturday, February 1st. Saturday, February 1st, our next volleyball home broadcast. That'll be Avert and Marymount in the gym. So Lynchburg will play, they'll play the bookend games. It'll be a noon game against Avert, I believe, and then the Cougars will play Marymount in between, and then Lynchburg will play Marymount to finish it off around 4 or 5, whenever the first 2 games end, basically.
Well, that game against Randolph-Macon is going to be important for, obviously, the men's volleyball team. But for me, every single game against Randolph-Macon has a little tiny bit of bragging rights. Obviously, I had one of my older brothers go to Randolph-Macon, so anything that I can throw at him about Lynchburg winning or anything that comes down to terms of that, it's always nice to have a little bragging rights over my brother.
Well, that's part of what sports is about, right?
Yeah.
You know, you get to give people a hard time. You get something to get into, and hopefully it's still healthy and it doesn't cross that line into that unhealthy area.
I won't go into that part.
Well, yeah, that's what you see on TV at the NFL games and stuff with the madness. But yes, no, you're never taking it that far, as we are playing volleyball again, and Mason Kenna is letting it rip from the right side. Uh-oh, they are calling this a Virginia Wesleyan point, and Ryan Turner is up off his seat protesting vigorously. That's the most we've seen Coach Turner take issue with a call. What could you see on the replay there, Anything?
Well, it looked like maybe on his way down, he might have had a tiny bit of contact on the net. It's really tough to tell. What we really need to do is mic up the referees. That would be really cool.
That would be fun. That might be one that you have to use in a video later on that you package together, just because some of the things the officials may not want out there for public consumption, and you might hear a bad word or two. Although I never think you're going to hear that from Ryan Turner, our head coach here at the University of Lynchburg. And Coach Turner started out here as an assistant on the women's team. Actually got the head volleyball job at Cabrini, but then Cabrini announced they were closing down. So unfortunately, that well dried up, and that led Coach Turner back here. He was named the first head men's volleyball coach here at the University of Lynchburg. He's excited to come back. Speaking of excitement, I mean, that's high velocity and high octane from Nick Redding, the southpaw from San Diego, California, letting it fly.
Boy, I tell you what, Shepard looked like he was maybe inches away from being able to save that off the net. That would have been one of the better, more athletic plays that we've probably ever seen here in Turner Gymnasium.
Agreed. The athleticism that these guys display and that we're going to see all year is just kind of blows you away, makes your eyebrows jump up, and sometimes even your entire body jumps up when you see some of these exciting plays. It's a 19-13 6-point Virginia Wesleyan lead. Still probably feels comfortable for the Marlins, but Lynchburg not completely out of this just yet, and you do have to like this extra fight that the Hornets have. There's Matthew Shepard putting one down right in front of Jeremiah Costello. Just a step late or a step short getting to that one. And Shepard's going to show the official his elbow there. I don't think the official maybe thought he saw some blood there. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, not too sure. Well, we saw the play before where he made that fantastic effort to save it off the net. Maybe a little bit of court burn. I know how painful that can be.
Well, we talked about the ball, but you're right. That might even be even worse. Get one of those road rash burns from a dive, and Shepard did, of course, take that long dive earlier in the ball game a few moments ago. There's good blocking up front by the Hornets to shut that one down. Team stop with Miller Varley and Bryce Jackson over there. The duo block. Lynchburg down by 6. Go back to Shepard real quick. He's got a career high of 26 kills. Got that last season. This is a Virginia Wesleyan team that brings a lot of offense. I think we're seeing some things from Lynchburg to make us think that maybe in the future Lynchburg could have an offense like that, just with the dynamic scoring options, guys that can score from different ways in different areas. I think the Hornets are going to get there. And again, I'll admit that we're probably biased, but I'm seeing the positives from Lynchburg in this, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you also have to keep in mind that this is only the 3rd game that they've played. Obviously, you can have a ton of practices beforehand, but when it comes to game time, it's completely different than anything that you're ever going to get. And knowing what players are going to be your better 6 players to put on the court, you're not going to be able to find that out in your first 2 matches or 3 matches or 4 matches. That's something that you're going to have to figure out throughout the season. So it just shows you the importance of every single set that you're going to play throughout the 26 matches.
Christian Harris serving for Virginia Wesleyan. He had a strong start. He was very solid in set number 1. Not as active in set number 2, but definitely playing well for the Marlins. Overpass. Shepard's going to tap this one up for Harris. Nope. That is a Marlin point as Braden Berardo tried to rescue but couldn't get there in time.
Well, that was just another example of Virginia Wesleyan finding the open space, and just the precision that they have this game. They're doing a fantastic job tonight.
They've been clinical at times, and there's a time right there with Virginia Wesleyan really starting to put their foot on the gas. Another point to make here, because we don't have too long to make more points, but we talked about the advantage of playing at home in front of a big crowd. There's another side of that coin, too. Sometimes playing in front of a big crowd at home with your friends and family can add a little additional pressure. And I don't know that was in play here for Lynchburg, but just worth talking about as Virginia Wesleyan 1 point away, trying to grab the key to the broom closet here and get a sweep to start their season off. This Marlins team will be one to watch, and these teams will meet again on Wednesday, March 19th. It'll be fascinating to see how much growth these squads go through between now and then. But there you go. That serve is out of play, and Virginia Wesleyan is a winner. Marlins sweep it, and they seem to get better and better as the night went on. Congratulations to Carissa Cumberbatch and her squad on victory number 1. Lynchburg goes to 2-1 on the season. Ethan, let's have a bit more dialogue before we leave. What'd you like for Lynchburg? Good, bad, and ugly.
We saw a lot of competitiveness early on in the sets, and one thing that you really have to work on after, especially after seeing a match like this, is that you're not going to win every set. You start off the season 6-0, and now you're 6-3 after just 3 matches. What you really have to do is you got to take the positives out. You did show a ton of competitiveness early in the sets. It's really all about keeping that going throughout the entire set, not losing your confidence and not losing that momentum. You got to have fight, and I think that's what Lynchburg's going to keep working on. Obviously, we know how good of a coach Ryan Turner is with the women's volleyball team, and he's going to do everything he can to get this team on the right track. He's done a really good job to start off this season, but we obviously know Virginia Wesleyan, a tough team. So I really think that this Lynchburg volleyball team is heading towards the right direction. They just need to keep that going.
Yeah, I think learn from this. Let this leave a little bit of a wound, but don't let it become a scar. Let it become something that heals up pretty quickly. And Lynchburg will get a chance to heal up pretty quickly as they play this Friday and Saturday. But great points by you. It was fun. I can't wait to do some more men's volleyball and, again, other sports. The sporting activity, the hive is really buzzing right now here at Lynchburg. So go to lynchburgsports.com. Plug in with that. For Virginia Wesleyan, they are in action this Friday and Saturday. They'll actually get 2 on Friday and then 1 Saturday morning. Virginia Wesleyan is going to end up playing 3 matches in about 16 or 17 hours. So that'll be interesting for them, and we'll keep an eye on the Marlins' progress, the rest of the ODAC standings. Right now, the Marlins are at the top of the charts here with conference win number 1. Lynchburg 0-1 in ODAC play, 2-1 overall, and they will be back again this Friday and Saturday. Kyle Haney getting ready to say so long. Big thank you to our LHSN crew led by the incomparable Josh Smith and the rest of the team. Thank you very much for watching. Ethan Moratsky, thank you for hanging out with me. And we'll say so long. Virginia Wesleyan, straight set winner here on the road. They take down Lynchburg in men's volleyball action.